Mini GP190s and 70s incorporating the Bucci Cup is about to get underway. We'll look at the grid in just a few moments. Headed by Kyle Ride from David Allingham, James Mostiker third, Mason Foster fourth, Kobe Perry in fifth place from Daniel Goodman in sixth position. Seventh place for Sullivan Mounsey, Tom Lewis eighth, Zach Weston ninth from Callum Ricketts, Charlie Huntingford and Dominic Ped in 12th position. 13th for Tim Patterson from Dominic Evola, Simon Bogg in 15th place, Jack Knights, Peter Hickman in 17th, Reese Stevenson further back in 18th. Both those riders DNSs possibly. Dougie Craven and Luke Schofield running up the field. So we'll wait for confirmation if Pete Hickman and Reese Stevenson are indeed taking part. They had their collision in the first race earlier on. See Stevenson out there actually. Just looking to see if Hickman's up there too. Be nice to see Pete Hickman riding again after... I think he is out there actually, so that's good news. Looks like Stevenson and Hickman out, but starting further down the grid, that could make things interesting. They both DNF the first race earlier on, of course. 12 to 15 years, the senior class 15 plus. And there's a separate category for junior and senior riders. It is ability based as well. The junior riders must be able to lap within a certain percentage of the leading group of riders. A whole mixture of bikes available in this one. It's including Predator, MER Mini GP. Mainly we see a lot of the Ovali and Bucci machines out there as they get underway. Mixture of 4- and 2-stroke machines. Now, one thing to look out for here, we've got two of the leading names in this race, Peter Hickman and Reese Stevenson. Because of their incident in the previous race, they've got to start a bit further back. They both DNF'd the previous race, which means they're affected on points, and they've got a bit of work to do now as they fight their way through the field. This means that as the race gets underway, David Allingham leads, James Mostiker in second, Mason Foster in third, Daniel Goodman fourth from Kobe Perry, Sullivan Mounsey, Tom Lewis and Zach Weston, Charlie Huntingford and Callum Ricketts running up the top 10 as they make their way down towards the S's for the first time. This is a 12-lap final. And David Allingham gets the jump on the field, tries to pull away in these early stages, making his way down towards the final corner, so Allingham leads. Daniel Goodman up to second on the 57, Mason Foster third, James Mostiker in fourth, Tom Lewis, Sullivan Mounsey, Kobe Perry in 7th place, Charlie Huntingford, Peter Hickman up to 9th place, Reese Stevenson in 10th. Those two fighting through the field after starting at the back. Zach Weston drops to 11th place from Callum Ricketts. So David Allingham trying to pull away at the front. Daniel Goodman, of course, he spent so much of last year developing, building his skills and fighting his way now, of course, establishing himself as a lead rider. Battling towards the front, he's just been overtaken by Mason Foster, who moves into second position. Dan Goodman, another one of those riders who's racing under the Vision Track MLAV Academy awning for 2021. Looking to make some of that experience count on the track. But the rider to look out for here is the second place rider Mason Foster, who set the fastest lap of the race, 47.14, and started to close up on David Allingham, the race leader. They make their way through the Warren and back towards the straight run now. Looking further down the field, there's Pete Hickman. He's up to 7th place. Having to work here as he fights his way through the top 10. That looks like the machine of Sullivan Mounsey just in front. Hickman going for the pass. Reese Stevenson in there too. So Allingham leads, Foster second, Goodman third. Over the line goes Mounsey, Lewis, Hickman, Perry, Stevenson and Huntingford running out the top 10. Back to the battle with Pete Hickman now, putting the pressure on. That's the machine of Tom Lewis. Still 9 laps to go. Allingham with that small gap over Mason Foster. They're making their way towards the S's section. There's Hickman putting the pressure on Lewis as they make their way through the S's. The leaders making their way down towards the final few corners. And Reese Stevenson starting to close up on Peter Hickman as well. So Hickman struggling to get past here. There go the leaders. David Allingham, your race leader, guards the inside line. Foster squaring the outside, goes wide into centre, trying to get the speed on the exit as they make their way down to 180. Goodman third, Mostiker in fourth. So at the moment, Hickman and Stevenson only getting as far as 6th place. It's all down to David Allingham and Mason Foster. Down the back straight they go. Foster really getting close now on the 88. Allingham guards the inside line into the Esses. Reece Stevenson with the fastest lap of the race, 46.69 further back. And this race still pretty close actually. There's only, between the first few riders, only a few seconds separating the first handful of riders as the leaders make their way over the line. There's still 7 laps to go. This race is still wide open, but Allingham leads the way, guards the lead from Mason Foster in 2nd place. 3rd is still Daniel Goodman from James Mostica. As one rider hits trouble just coming out of Senna. Oh, that's looks like Derva Lane, who was out before in the pit bike vets, a bit further down, so he gets back underway. The race goes on. Peter Hickman this time with the fastest lap of the race. It looks like he's made a move going into the S's. There's the 2 leaders, Allingham and Foster neck and neck. Goodman 3rd, Mostica 4th, Hickman now up to 5th place. So he's the fastest man on the Isle of Man TT. He's the fastest man round Red Lodge today as well, with a 46.63 in this race class. But still no good for the lead as Allingham battles with Foster. Goodman 3rd, Hickman now into 4th place. These riders just behind the 2 leaders. Here they come out of Senna. Hickman's into 3rd, he gets past Goodman. So Peter Hickman up to 3rd. Goodman drops to 4th position. Mostica, Mounsey and Stevenson all in there as well. There's Stevenson down the inside out of 180. Great move there from Reece Stevenson. These 2, of course, they had to battle back from starting near the back of the grid after they both DNF'd the previous race, costing them valuable points. And Peter Hickman and Reece Stevenson fighting back strong, although Hickman, the experience paying off for him, getting through just a little bit quicker than Stevenson at the moment. As Reece Stevenson gets the door shot in his face by Daniel Goodman. David Allingham still leads. Foster 2nd, Hickman again with the fastest lap of the race, 46.5. As Stevenson goes down the inside of Daniel Goodman. That should put him in 4th place now. And this is shaping up to be quite a final here. We've still got 4.5 laps to go. Allingham still leads. Foster 2nd, Hickman 3rd, Goodman 4th. They're going up towards the S's now. There's Stevenson trying to pull away now from Daniel Goodman. And Sullivan Mounsey, the leaders, making their way down towards the final few corners, and it's all incredibly close. Into the final corner they go. As we look at Daniel Goodman, the leaders crossing the line, and it's getting close down to the first corner. Hickman putting the pressure on Foster for 2nd. Here they come into Senna. So Allingham, number 11, still leads the race. Foster 2nd. We look for Hickman in 3rd. Is he still there? Bit of a gap. Through 180 they go. The leaders now making their way towards the off-cambered left-hander through the Warren up the straight run. Allingham still leads. Foster 2nd. 3.5 laps to go. The rest of the top 10 still very close as well. Hickman 3rd. Stevenson 4th. Goodman in 5th place. Sullivan Mounsey in 6th. Mostica, Perry, Charlie Huntingford and Tom Lewis rounding up the top 10. There's Hickman. Coming out of the S's now, trying to close up on the 2 race leaders. And I don't think he's giving any favours here. He's charging with all he can to get through up to the leaders. As Foster has a look down the inside of Allingham. Back marker moves to one side to let those 2 leaders through. There, we just saw him. Peter Hickman closing up on the 2 leaders as they close on the slower traffic through 180. Allingham still leads, pulls away now slightly from Foster, not by very much. It's still neck and neck for the lead. Hickman still closing in 3rd. Allingham, your race leader, trying to pull away now with 2.5 laps to go. Foster 2nd, Hickman up to 3rd place, Stevenson 4th. So Allingham still charging at the front on the Avali machine, making his way through some of the tail enders. We've got Jack Knight and Simon Boggs just a bit further ahead. 2 laps to go when they cross the line. There they go. Allingham leads. Foster still right in there in 2nd. 7/10 of a second separating the top 2. Hickman closing up in 3rd. Really scything their way through the midfield. There's Hickman, just lapping the slower rider. I think that's Simon Bogg, number 10. The race leader, Allingham, has to have a look. Oh, but of course the slow rider doesn't know it's the race leader. I think he'll realise now as he steals the line on the inside. And there we see some good cooperation from the back marker, just standing the bike up, letting the leaders go through. But oh, Hickman's gone through to second. That was a good opportunity for him as he goes through to second place. So Peter Hickman up to second place. 1 lap to go. Can he do it? Hickman has gone all the way through to second place from the back of the grid. And of course, Peter Hickman, Isle of Man TT champion, British Superbike rider, lap record holder on the Isle of Man. Closing up on David Allingham on this final lap. Can he do it with half a lap to go? I'm sure Allingham, who's led the entire race, will not give this lead up lightly. There's Hickman on his tail as they make their way through into the S's. Tightens in on itself. Hickman very quick through that slow part of the track. Back on the power. Down they come down the Simpson straight towards the final corner. And I'm sure Hickman not giving this one up lightly. He closes right onto the rear wheel of David Allingham. Round the final corner they go. And Allingham takes the checkered flag by half a second from Peter Hickman. Mason Foster third, Rhys Stevenson in fourth place. Sullivan Mounsey takes fifth position. Daniel Goodman, James Mostiger sixth and seventh. Kobe Perry in eighth. With Charlie Huntingford in ninth and Tom Lewis crossing the line in 10th position. So a thrilling conclusion there with Peter Hickman hunting down David Allingham almost on the line, but not quite enough. David Allingham holds on to protect his lead and win the race by just under half a second. So a great conclusion there, some thrilling action right until the end of the race.